So, Fernie, do you remember Christmas Day, waking up, running to the living room, opening that gift, and it being that toy you've been waiting for?
Yep. I yeah, there was a couple of Christmases that I can remember that absolutely. Specifically for the toys I got.
What were the three worst words that you would ever read on that box and know that there was a chance that it would happen?
I don't think I've yeah, hmm. I do not know.
All right, well, imagine this. You open that box, get the toy all together, and then all of a sudden, you need 3D sized batteries. And then you look on the box and it says batteries not included.
Yeah.
Such a letdown, don't you think?
Especially for a lot of those early ones. Yeah. Yeah, especially those early toys that just
Well, that's what we're discussing today, sir. We are discussing toys, things we grew up with, things we may have wanted, those things you hid from everybody because you didn't want them to know you had. And
right?
then maybe we'll get into the commercials about those toys too, huh?
Yep.
All right. Well, this is Cutscenes and Clotheslines. I'm Mike.
I'm Fernie, or the also known as the FBD. Either the best wrestling name in the world or the worst venereal disease you'll ever have.
And tonight's episode is batteries not included, toys of our age. So, Fernie, dude, what were some of those toys that you remember? You know, some of those, those ones that if you had the chance to get again, you would do it.
Well, definitely my He-Man. I had a lot of He-Man toys, man. I mean, like when I say I had a lot of He-Man, like I had a lot of He-Man toys. Now that I remember,
Were you part of the He-Man Woman Haters Club?
no, I mean, I was five. So what do you want? I was like 5 or 6. I didn't know any different. What the heck? What kind of question is that? It's terrible.
Well, think about the Little Rascals. What were they?
But they're the same way. They were five. They didn't know any better. They had a
Exactly.
Grumble Club. They had a Grumble Club too. They didn't know. Come
Oh,
on,
but there was a
man.
fight about that one. So yeah, so He-Man, interesting. Yeah, I had a couple He-Man toys. I think I might have had maybe He-Man and maybe one of the like bad guys. I don't remember too many of those. But my favorite, Transformers
I remember you had Transformers. Yeah, I remember your Transformers.
and GoBots. You know, it was like GoBots were like the cheaper version of Transformers, but I liked those better.
But I think I had one GoBot, and it was the GoBots that were rocks. Remember the GoBots? That
Oh,
were
the Rock
rocks?
Lords.
Yeah, Rock Lords. There you go. I had one of them. I forgot the name of it. Yeah, I remember it was a brown one. I remember it was a brown one.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of them, but yeah, I had one.
yeah, man. I had a couple of the Rock Lords. I mean, I had a few of the GoBots. I never had the big like command center thing that they had.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it was always one of those things that was just way too expensive. But you know, for my parents at least, you know, I was a kid, I couldn't afford it even if I wanted to at that time. But yeah, but like with Transformers, I mean, the Transformers ones were cool. Like I did like those.
So which ones did you have? Which you wouldn't?
I had a few. I had one of the car ones. Who was it? Not Bumblebee. It was one of the other ones, the smaller ones.
Mirage,
Jazz. I
Jazz.
had Jazz.
He was a sports car. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a couple of the Dinobots. I had the Tyrannosaurus Rex one. Was it Grimlock?
Grimlock.
Yeah. And then I also had the Triceratops one.
Oh, I forgot the Triceratops. I
Was
always
it
remember
Slag?
Grimlock because Slag was his name.
It
That's
was,
a
yeah, I want to say
that's a terrible name.
Slag or,
Well, now if you knew what Slag actually means, then that's a terrible name.
yeah. Unfortunately, you know what? I never got any of like the big characters like Optimus Prime or the main bad guy.
Shockwave
Yeah, Shockwave.
or Megatron, Starscream.
Yeah, see, I never got any of those, and
Who was Shockwave the one with the cassette? What was the one with the cassette?
I think that was Shockwave.
That was Shockwave.
That was,
I
I
remember
think that,
I remember Shockwave being the coolest one because you could actually play cassettes, like
In
actual
him.
cassettes on him. Yeah, in him. I was
Right.
like,
Well, and it was cool with
pretty cool.
those. What was cool with that too was that he came with those cassettes too that you could
Mhm.
put in there, and they turned into miniature Transformers. I mean, you had the little panther thing that they would use,
Or the little bird, the
the
hawk or the
bird.
falcon. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but yeah, no, but you remember that you could use it as a stereo. The audio wasn't great. The audio was not great, but you could still put it in the tape and you could listen to music off of it. I
That's
thought that was
cool.
pretty cool. I
Yeah,
thought
that
that was
was.
awesome.
But yeah, I never got those, those ones like that. And I guess a lot of it probably back then was like price range. It was definitely, I'm sure it was too expensive for my parents.
Well, because like two of them, like two different ones came out, right? Like they had your plastic ones, and you didn't get the die-cast metal ones, right?
So I believe the die-cast metal ones were actually like the second generation. They started coming out with those die-cast metal ones. But the first sections were the Gen Runs were like the plastic, but they were, I mean, decent quality.
Yeah, they weren't like the cheap quality that you could see like in the stores today, or I don't know, like they're just plastic, But, like,
Right.
yeah, these were these were more durable. I wouldn't even say if they were like real plastic. I don't know, like I can't. There's like I don't know if they were more ceramic, maybe, or I don't know.
No, it would have been like some sort of, probably some sort of just different plastic they used back then. Heck,
Yeah,
it may, for all we know, it could have contained lead. For all we know. Yeah, it might actually explain quite a bit. But what about you? What else? What other toys do you remember?
no. So like when I say Masters of the Universe, I had like a lot of them. So I had a battle armor He-Man where you would touch the middle and it would show like the damage that it would flip to like normal, then you could see damage and then further damage on his
Cool.
chest. Yeah, that was always my favorite. And I had Cringer. It turned into Battle Cat. I had the battle armor, so I had
Uh-huh.
He-Man and Cringer together.
Didn't you have a Castle Grayskull set too?
My God, yes, and it was complete.
Yeah,
was
I
like a big
remember
one.
that. I remember we
Yeah,
used
it
to
was-
play with that.
It was one where you could fold it in, fold it out like that. And
Yeah,
you could,
you could open it.
yeah, you could open it. It had like all these little like designs, like little stickers in there, these little traps here and there, this little elevator.
Oh,
It had
dude, no, those stickers were the worst. Having to like put those on, and you had to put them on so precisely because it was just one of those that, like, if it was off by just a little bit, it just did not look right.
No, yeah, and it had like I think it had a catapult. I think it had a bunch of accessories.
That's
It was
cool.
yeah, but it was about I want to say maybe
Yeah,
like
it was.
2 feet tall. It was a pretty good size.
Yeah, it was a pretty good size one.
And and I had the drawbridge and everything with Castle Grayskull. I also had the Wind Raider, which is the vehicle that they would use that it would fly in, but like I don't know, this one would for some reason the middle would spin, and I forgot why it would spin. I'm not too sure if it shot something like a grapple hook and you had to bring it back in, like spin the wheel in the middle. I think that's what it was. I don't remember, but it was something like that.
That's cool.
I also had, was it the guy with the claw? Claw, I think his name was Claw. I don't know. So, they had really bad names for the He-Man set. So I could
Yeah,
have say that
no.
they had terrible names. I mean, He-Man. Some guy was named Fisto. I mean, come on,
Right.
those were terrible names. But yeah. So it was Clawful, Hordak, who was actually a She-Ra villain, but I had him. Also, Grizzle. He was part of that too. He was also a
Part
She-Ra.
of that. Well,
Yeah.
but I mean, wasn't She-Ra like a spin-off from He-Man, right?
Yeah, she was his cousin.
Okay. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it does fit. It may have just been a little bit of a later time frame, but it definitely fits, on
And then
the toys.
yeah, and then I had Stinkor. Now Stinkor was interesting because that was I think the 3rd or 4th generation, but Stinkor was this skunk that it actually smelled. Like it smelled like you would have to get right up to it and smell it. You're like,
Okay.
oh,
So is it like the have you been to Epcot? Do you remember Journey into the Imagination with Figment?
vaguely.
Okay, so you're going through this attraction and it's your imagination, but there's one room specifically and they do these smells.
Okay.
And the last one that he does, because they do a couple good smells, and then the last one they do is a skunk, and it's that artificial skunk smell I
Yeah.
guarantee it was probably just like that.
What I could compare it to is, remember in Animal Kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
there was was it A Bug's Life?
Yes.
They had the
The
interaction
stink
with
bug.
Bug's Life. Yeah, the stink bug was the one I
Oh,
think I could compare it with that smell.
it's the exact same smell. Yeah.
So yeah, it was like it never penetrated. Like, I don't know, it was so weird because like it smelled all the time. The smell never went away, and you had to get real close to it to smell it. Like,
But it didn't.
Like,
It didn't get on you or anything.
yeah, you could hold it away from you, like maybe a foot away, couldn't smell it. You bring it closer, you couldn't smell it. Like you had to be like right up here to smell it, like in your face.
I wonder if it was just something they made, or like an additive they made in the plastic, so that way it wasn't a strong smell. It was
Right.
it was just that little bit of linger in there.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I thought it was the genius. Like it was like it still smells. It smells like this. And then had Mantenna, who had these, like, his thing was like you would press the button in the back. The karate action.
Yeah, the karate
Button.
chop action.
Yeah, there was a button in the back, and his eyes would just go like that.
Nice.
So yeah, I had a bunch of He-Man stuff.
Very cool.
That was my go-to, was He-Man.
One of the other ones I remember growing up, and it was, definitely one of my favorite shows, was Dino Riders.
I remember your Dino Riders. You had a plastic. You had the plastic ones, the big ones, and then I remember you having the clay ones too.
Oh, I don't remember the clay ones.
Yeah, they were smaller, and you could actually mold weapons onto them. But I remember
Cool.
I remember you had the T-Rex. That was the one that always stuck out in my mind, was the T-Rex.
Right. So see, I remember I had the T-Rex. Now, one of the ones I wanted and I never got as a kid was the Brontosaurus.
Why
That was-
specifically the Brontosaurus?
It was cool, and it was a walking one like the T-Rex. So
Oh,
it would
so
have given me that bigger way, or that bigger ability to have more of a battle. Like, have a battle like in the living room, on the around the table and stuff. But the design of it was real cool because it had the pods on the side that opened up, and
Yeah.
it had like the little missiles and stuff.
So just a little background. So like, people aren't just like, oh, well, these toys. So the way they would market these toys is that they would have the cartoon first. So you had the cartoon first
Exactly.
come out, and then you had the toy line. So like, for example, He-Man. He-Man was huge because He-Man was a big cartoon back in the 80s, and that really took off along with Transformers. A lot of them too. Dino Riders. I remember those too. So like, they always had the cartoons first, and then they would have the toy line come out.
Right. Yeah, no, and that was, it was the best way because kids fell in love with those shows. And then, of course, the instant thing is, hey, we got to release a toy for this because it was more money. Like they would work with Mattel, but then it was more promotion for the show too, because you had kids who didn't see that show but had friends who had those toys, and are like, oh, I've got to go check out this show.
Right.
So yeah, most definitely, it was definitely, that was an era where we saw a lot of that. G.I. Joe, for example.
Yeah. Oh, G.I. Joe was huge. I had one G.I. Joe.
Okay.
One G.I. Joe, I remember. And it was like this, it wasn't like a specific one too. He only had like a jetpack. It was just a jetpack one. And that's all the G.I. Joes I ever had. I loved G.I. Joe, but I just never had enough toys for the G.I. Joes.
Yeah, I think I may have had one or two. And you know what? If you go back to the Breckenridge house, they're probably buried in the backyard still.
Go there one day, just like, excuse me, sir. I think a friend of mine left something in the backyard.
Yeah, but if the sandbox is still there, dude, me and you, how many toys did we bury in that sandbox
I have no idea.
after they broke?
Right? And the thing about Joe's is that, like, the original G.I. Joe lines were like actual, like, they looked like dolls. And I remember those were like I think those first released were like during the Vietnam War, so they were like the 50s or 60s around there. And then as it got re-released in the 80s, they got smaller, but the joints were movable. They had those movable joints, and they had that weird rubber band waist. Remember the rubber band waist that they had?
Yeah.
Where you could twist them all you want, and they would
Until
not.
it broke.
Yeah. Yeah, but they were durable. They were
Yeah, no,
durable.
they were pretty. But yeah, like I think
Do
I
you remember?
remember
Do you remember which two you had?
I had one of the Cobra guys. It wasn't the main character, like not Cobra Commander, but like one of the side op guys type thing.
Destro.
No, one of the ones who are like the would be like the soldiers of them, not the like just one of the basic Cobra
Like
soldiers.
we're just like one of the basics. Gotcha. So like
Yeah.
they're just like blue suit, helmet.
hmm
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then I remember the toy I had as far as the GI Joe character was the like Australian one, I think, who had the like blue outfit. I don't remember his name, Skinner or something like that, or
Back.
yeah, maybe Outback.
Something very generic and Australian.
But once again, it goes back to like GI Joe wasn't a major one that I really played with.
And it's funny because like they had a massive toy line. Like their toy line was huge. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember specifically the one that I wanted, and it was too crazy because it was just huge.
Well, hold
Was
on.
that-
Let's save that.
Okay.
Save that thought because we can use that in the next section. Definitely.
Okay. So then, what else did you get? What else did you have?
Do you remember the mask toys? Not the show mask, but the car one.
Yeah. I remember Mask. Yep.
I had those were some of my favorites too, because I love the show. But I had the main bad guy from Venom. I think it was like Switchblade was the name of the vehicle, and it turned from a helicopter to a plane, a jet.
You know what? I had one, and I think it was a motorcycle.
Yeah, it was the green one, right? The neon green one
That's the one.
turned from a motorcycle into a helicopter.
Yeah, I had that one.
I had that one too. Yeah.
Okay, so we had the same one. Okay, all right.
And then I really wanted what was the semi truck one? I think the guy's name was Sato, was the one who drove it. But it was like a semi truck looking thing, and it had the things that came down and looked like guns. The smokestacks would drop down.
Yeah.
So I wanted that one, but never got that one. And then I have a couple others that I wanted definitely, but we'll go more into that, later on. But yeah, those are cool toys because they were sort of like that Transformers with vehicles, in the sense of transforming vehicles, and the GI Joe.
Yeah, because
it was like a blend of the two, and it worked.
Like the toy lines, they always had something transforming into something. That's like they were always transforming into something or turning into something. That's what the majority of them were. So like that's what we were into. Like it was like cool. Like this turns into a giant robot, or it turns back into a car, and it turns into this. It turns into like it's a vehicle. No, it's a motorcycle. No, it's a helicopter. It's
right.
Stuff like that.
I mean,
yeah.
Matt Tracker's vehicle, and Matt Tracker was the main good guy. He was the leader of the good guy side. He had that. Was it no? It wasn't a DeLorean. It was a Camaro that had the gold. I think so. It was a Camaro that had the wings would pop open and then he could fly. It was like a jet.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a cool one because it had a little button on the back, and you'd push the little button and the wings would pop open, and the little spoiler in the back would pop up, and you'd see the thrusters in the back.
Yep.
So, and the funny part about that one is the toys that they used, the little character toys that you could put in the vehicles, were actually smaller than like the GI Joe characters. They were like a 3-inch character compared to like a 5 or I think it was a 5-inch or 5.5-inch character.
Interesting. Well, yeah, that's well. I mean, yeah, because I mean the thing is that they just wanted to sell the vehicle. They didn't. I don't think they wanted to really just. I don't think they really cared on the actual figure.
Yeah.
But like, it was the big thing was the actual vehicle. That was the focus point of it.
No, it was, and I mean the characters. If you look at what they had, I mean they had the mask that they would wear, and they were really cheaply drawn. They weren't well designed until the second generation, and then they really did a better detail on the mask and stuff. So it was really cool. But each of their masks had powers too, so it was really cool with that.
That's true. Yeah.
So what else? What other ones did you have?
Well, I had a couple Star Wars. I remember Star
Star
Wars.
Star Wars. Oh, we could go into Star Wars for a whole episode in
Yeah,
itself, dude.
yeah, like Star Wars, you couldn't run away from. Like the merchandising was like almost what you see the merchandising today. Where I think it's where the merchandising started was Star Wars because it was everywhere. I mean, I remember having the first edition Millennium Falcon, but
That was a cool one.
it was incomplete though. It was. I remember that we bought it at a secondhand store. It was a Millennium Falcon, and
Right.
the back of it, some of the back pieces were missing. The gun was missing. Some of the stickers were missing too. So like, I had a lot of missing pieces, but I knew it was a Millennium Falcon.
Right. Well,
Oh,
so
oh,
hold
I'm-
on just 1 second. Let
Yeah.
me show you something that I actually ended up finding at one of our units after the tenants left.
Okay.
So let me show you what it is. It's going to blend two of the toys that we definitely played with together.
All right. Wonder what he's got up his sleeve. This guy is an X-wing. What is it? A-wing. Oh man, if it's an X-wing, I swear. Oh. Looks like in episode 1.
All right. Nope, it didn't work. I was trying to see if the camera would focus on it, but I have a Lego one. So speaking of toys we played with, that is one of the Star Wars. What was it? Episode 2.
That's what it was. One of the drop ships.
Yeah, it was one of the drop ships.
Nice.
And
All right,
I
all right.
found it, and the guy had just left it there, and I'm like, oh shit, no, I'm gonna bring this with
Okay.
me.
All right.
So
Yeah, I mean,
so-
it's in there, so yeah, why not?
and
So
it wasn't gonna, I didn't want to throw it away. My boss was like, oh yeah, go ahead. So I brought it home, and I was afraid it was going to be incomplete, and I built it, and all I'm missing is 2 pieces. I'm missing the characters that go inside,
yeah,
and then I'm missing one of the little front guns.
wow, that's not a lot. You could find those too.
Yeah,
So,
either I can go to a Lego shop in Austin and
Yeah.
go and buy those pieces really easily.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah. I mean, going back to what I was saying though, like I had a complete and very nice Slave One. Now,
Nice.
I know it's controversial to say that, but I don't care. That's the name of the damn thing. I'm gonna call it Slave One. It was Boba Fett's ship. It
I
was
know we're
complete.
talking in topic here, so
Yeah, it was complete. It had everything on there. I was very surprised at the condition of it too, and I just do not remember where it is. I misplaced it somewhere along with the Millennium Falcon. I don't know where they are.
it was the big one.
Yeah, the big one, the big,
Nice. Okay.
was it Kenner or Mattel that made it?
Probably Mattel. I think Mattel was a major seller of those.
Yeah, it was a big one like this, and yeah, it was the actual one. It was like the first edition, the 1980 edition, because it was from Return of the Jedi. Not Return of the Jedi. I'm sorry.
From Empire.
Yeah, from Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, so it was like the actual Slave One with a Boba Fett
So-
inside.
So what memories do you have with playing with that? What do you remember doing?
Oh yeah, no, I remember doing because these were big set. Like the Millennium Falcon was big,
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember playing with
And-
that with you in the garage.
and the Slave One was of course a little bit smaller. So I would try and have these space battles, but these things were huge. So I was like, this is too big. So then
Right.
I would put one down. And it's like, okay, I'm chasing this. Okay, no, I'm chasing that. And it was this whole,
Having to trade back between the two
yeah,
ships.
yeah, this space battle in my mind. I'm just
But-
like, I
but
can't do it at the same time.
that only proves one thing, from then compared to now, was we used our imaginations much differently back then. So for imagination sense, I was talking to Milo the other day, and we were talking about, she was just like, well, I can't picture things in my mind. And I'm like, well, sweetie, a lot of that is because of technology has gotten you used to looking at a screen. So you aren't able to imagine the stuff in your mind as much. I was like, when I was a kid, I played with toys. I built things with Legos, and my imagination created these things, but then I also read books. So I'd have to use my imagination to create and remember these things. So it's definitely, and we were discussing it, and she was starting to see and starting to get that, like, like maybe maybe that screen time is a bad thing.
too much of it. Too much is a bad thing.
Yeah,
Too much is a bad thing.
yeah. Too
I
much.
absolutely
That
agree.
excessive screen time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's a tribute to, of course, technology. I mean, technology, how it's evolved. Because I know that we have video games, for example, but I mean, but still, like those video games still gave us, like problem-solving skills because we had to figure
Right.
out
You got to
puzzles.
figure out the puzzles.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it still made us think in some sense.
Or you had to figure out the pattern to be able to beat the bad guy because you knew you could shoot him 3 times and then he would do a special attack and you would have to
Yeah.
move.
Exactly. And also, thank you, Tetris. Thank you, Tetris, for also giving us the ability to think,
You
to
know what?
critically think.
Tetris was one of my dad's favorites growing up.
Your dad had a lot of. I remember your dad having a lot of Nintendo games, and one of those that he would play a lot of was Tetris.
Hmm.
I remember
Speaking
Tetris-
of, you know what? Speaking of the dads out there, tomorrow is Father's Day, so
Indeed.
happy early Father's Day to all the dads out there. Definitely we salute you all.
Yes, sir. All the papas out there.
So, but getting back on topic, Star Wars. So the Star Wars toys, I definitely remember that, I remember playing with you in your garage with some of those. Now, I remember being a little bit older with the ones that I had, but it was the ones from Galoob, the Action Fleet.
Okay.
And so I had a collection of those. I had Snowspeeder, I had the X-Wing, I had the, I think it was the A-Wing and was a Y-Wing. I had a TIE Fighter.
Mm-hmm. No, I remember the TIE Fighter. Yeah, I remember the TIE Fighter vividly.
Yeah, and it was cool because the TIE Fighter, there was actually 2 different ones. There was Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and then there was also the regular TIE Fighter, and I think there was even a bomber.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so, but I had I had them all like on shelves and stuff growing up, but those were some great toys. Like I remember having space battles with multiple ships and
Yep.
doing the same thing as, probably a 10-year-old.
So then I also had a stuffed Wicket from
The Ewoks.
the Ewoks. It was a good size too. It was about this size. It was about this size, and it was the stuffed one, very detailed. It had
Very cool.
so it had like the hair was real, like it was the actual fur. The eyes, like it was incredibly detailed. It had the hood, the whole shebang. I remember playing with that thing a lot.
Mhm.
Because I wrestled with it a lot when I was a young kid. So I remember suplexing the heck out of it. And I remember body
Right.
slamming out, getting a power bounce. But yeah, I played a lot with that.
Well,
And-
sidebar on that for just a second.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any of the WWE wrestling buddies?
The wrestling, I never had a wrestling buddy.
No, man. I remember, I think I had it was either Macho Man or Ultimate Warrior.
I
And-
remember you, I think, having if I remember specifically, I think it was the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, I remember, it was like about 3 feet, by 2
Yeah.
feet and had the arms and the legs. Yeah. But I mean, the toy I can understand Wicket. That's, in a sense, hey, you know what? You're going to become my wrestling thing because at that time you were into the wrestling stuff too.
So it was my wrestling buddy. And then I had a Chewbacca punching bag.
A Chewbacca? Was it like one of those like inflatable ones with the sand in the bottom?
Exactly, that's what it was. And
Okay.
I remember punching, kicking the hell out of that thing. I remember just going
Yeah.
right at it, and it was pretty durable. I was surprised how durable it was because I would full on attack, like I would body slam or body hugging this damn thing, and it would just stand right back up and punching it and clotheslining it and all kinds of things to it. I remember it being very durable.
It's funny because if you think about it, that like the punching bag thing, with the Chewbacca, that is a very simple design.
Mhm.
And they made millions off of it. But it came from a design from back in the 70s maybe? I mean,
Yeah, with the clown.
that was the clown,
Yeah,
right?
it was a clown where you would just hit it and it just go back, bounce back up, hit it again. It was a simple design. It was simple. But yeah,
They
it was a
made
Chewbacca.
millions off that.
Yeah, but I remember it being a Chewbacca specifically, and yeah, it was just one of those things that I remember vividly, just punching, kicking, fighting, biting, and just I would beat the hell out of that thing, and remember being tired from it, just and it'll just do.
Yep.
And then, speaking of Star Wars, I want to show you something, and I think you'll be surprised. Hold on, I'll be right back. Hold
All
on.
right. Is that a Yoda?
See it?
I can't. It's yeah. See, I was having the same problem. No, it's all right.
Oh, you can't see it.
You'll have to describe it. Tell us what it is.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm gonna try this. Let me see if it comes out like this. Hold on. There it is. Perfect.
There we go. Yeah.
So that's an original Episode 1 Obi-Wan Kenobi with the lightsaber.
That is awesome.
So yeah, what you would do is that you connect the lightsaber to the back of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you can see him right here. You can see like he still moves. So yeah, you could do that, and you connect it, and it was like a button, so you could press the button, and he could do all these like these twirly moves with it.
Very cool.
So yeah, I have this one and a Darth Maul.
That's awesome, and you still have them new in box. That is really cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna try and sell them one of these days. But we'll see when. We'll see.
But that's one of those things that do you really want to sell it, or would it be better to hold on to it until future, maybe you have kids or something?
No, they're not gonna play with it.
I didn't say for them to play with it. But you know what? An example. Let me give you an example, and it still fits within our toy realm thing here.
Right.
So my grandma Julie, do you remember at her house she had that little buffet thing with all the dolls on it, like all the Barbie dolls?
Yeah.
Okay, so after she passed away, we had to separate the stuff and clear the house out and everything like that. And Milo actually ended up with a couple of the Barbie dolls that were great Barbie dolls. And the first thing she said was, "These are not getting opened up." She's like, "These are going on my shelves because they are those classic Barbies, but they were like the very famous and prominent figures and stuff like that." So,
okay, all right.
And like Nina's given her a few that are boxed like that she's just been like, "No, I don't want to take them out. Like they are, they're special."
Yeah.
And those are collector's items, and who knows? Maybe one day they'll be worth millions. Hopefully that's the case. And same thing with yours. I definitely agree. You've held it. You could definitely get it. What's the word? Take it to one of the shows and stuff, and that way they can look at it and see what the value is.
Yeah, exactly. And I also have a C-3PO one too. I also have a C-3PO that's like not he's before, like you can see all the wiring. You can see all the wiring in them. Yeah, that's what I have right now too. Also.
Okay,
so,
very cool.
So but I remember there was the second line that came out after the movies came out. There was a second line called Powers of the Force line. I think that's the name of of the second edition of the Star Wars ones, where like they got into more detail and they got more of the characters involved.
Right.
As like Powers of the Force, I think it was I remember because it had Darth Vader's helmet and it had like a green background.
Okay.
And that's when they re-released all the figures too. So I was just like, I wanted to get those, but I just never got them.
Yeah. You know what? Okay. So toys we've never gotten. You know what? I think this is a good, starting point for quick discussion there. What do you think, as far as now being an adult, about those toys you never got? Do you think it was that your parents just couldn't afford it, back then? Or do you think it was more of just like, nah, we don't want you to have it type thing?
No, it was definitely expensive. Yeah, it was definitely expensive because I know one of the toys I really wanted, and it was one of the ones that even today I really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even so expensive today, even by today's standards. It's the die-cast Voltron.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those on, like eBay and stuff.
like the action, but I wanted like the five individual tigers that turned into Voltron.
Right.
That's what I always wanted, because because I loved Voltron, and I always thought those cool, like just like those lions, like. But what caught my attention is that they were die cast, so I was just like, it was like that. They were heavy. They were steel. They were like beautiful. They were really nice, and I want that. I've always wanted that. Could never get my hands on any of them. I just can't.
Well, it's definitely one of those. Like for myself, that would definitely have to be. Think about a lot of the different toys and stuff, and I think really it was like a lot of the bigger stuff, like the command centers of like the Star Wars Death Star.
Woo!
Yeah.
Very.
But even nowadays, it was a lot of the Lego ones, and it was just because they were so expensive. Like my mom couldn't afford that.
Growing up like in middle class in the 80s, we were only given as much as so much, and and a lot of the things that I got were secondhand, which I didn't mind at all. I didn't care.
Right.
I didn't care about secondhand. As long as
you had it.
Yeah, as long as I had it, it was fun. I did not care. So yeah, but it's just one of those things that it was just so weird because I look back on the prices back then. I'm like, dang, he was even expensive back then. I was like, dang. I was like, that's crazy.
I remember one of those toys that I actually did get was the Legos, the castle. Do you remember that one that we built and stuff? That was like it had the castle, and it was like the all interior, and you built it like row by row and stuff. So that was like $130, $140 that my parents spent on getting that. But you know what? I remember building that with my dad like the day I got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings back those memories of like, it really is like, that was a great toy. I loved it. And I love that they were able to get me that, but like, and I know like with your family, I mean, it wasn't just you had 3 other siblings. And so that was tough.
And the thing is that like with my sisters, I mean, they were already mature, like they're already maturing. So like they didn't have a lot of toys. But I remember Priscilla, my youngest sister, she had some Barbies, and she had a Barbie box where she had a lot of the accessories, a lot of the clothes.
Right.
I remember who had it. It may have been Priscilla, or it may have even been Carrie, but I remember them having a She-Ra and a bow. That's what I remember too. Yeah, it was a She-Ra and a bow figure that I would play with too.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, with them though, I remember Carrie, she had a strawberry shortcake. I remember that. She had a strawberry shortcake, and Liz had a Care Bear. That's right. She had
Care Bear.
She had a Care. Which one was it? It was the pink one, I think. The pink one.
Like Love-A-Lot?
I think so. I remember it being really dirty though, because we played with it a lot.
But yeah, no, definitely. And like Dawn too. Like Dawn had, a lot of Barbies. I remember she had Barbies, and now it was weird because most of her Barbies, would get decapitated. I don't know who would do something like that.
I don't know, some jerk.
Yeah, I remember when she was younger, she had like her stuffed animals. Like she was real big into stuffed animals, and I remember her Barney. She had that talking Barney that you'd squeeze the hand and it would talk.
Yeah.
And he got, I think he got hung a few times. I can think of a few memories of that. And then she had another like little stuffed rabbit, and it was ways I got to torture my sister.
It's terrible.
Oh yeah,
That's terrible. I don't remember ever doing that stuff to my sister stuff, because I think my mom, she said, if you mess with that stuff, I'm gonna basically kick your ass. I'm just like, okay, never mind.
Well, I didn't mess with it. Like I didn't break it or anything. Barney would just get hung from door frame with a rope, and she could untie it and take him down. But
Jesus.
one time I hung him from the fan and turned the fan on low, so he was spinning around on the fan.
That's terrible.
You know what? I think I did get in trouble for that one, but
As you should.
well. But you know what? It wasn't that I hung the dinosaur. It was that I hung him on the fan because it could have pulled the fan down.
Terrible, man.
Yeah.
God. So then, hold on. So then, all right. So then you would turn. Okay. All right. Never mind. Just I can just see right now. Just see this poor little spinning.
Yeah. I had to do something to entertain myself, and you know what? My sister was the closest thing I could, get away with.
So, man. So then, what else did you have, man?
So I remember the super soakers.
Yeah, I remember the big super soaker you had. It was like you had a backpack one.
I didn't remember that one when I was thinking about stuff for this episode.
I remember you having that it was a big one. It was a tank like this. You had the tank water one, and it fed the water, and you would like add a handle. And I remember,
Okay.
stupid me, I broke the handle. I remember breaking the handle on it. I'm just like, I felt so bad. I was just like, this is not even mine. It's not mine.
You know what though? I think I mentioning it now. Yeah, I do remember when that happened. And you know what though? I think we still got plenty of use out of it. I mean, we just had to pull the little handle thing a different way, and it worked.
I felt so terrible.
Yeah. Oh no, I could definitely remember that.
I was just like, I remember just like my face was like, oh my God, I broke this expensive ass toy, because that was not a normal super soaker. That was a tank. Like it had two tanks. It had, I think they were maybe
it's probably like a gallon.
each. Yeah, a gallon
like
each.
a 2-gallon.
Yeah, so it had 2-gallon backpack, and then you had this super soaker that and it had 4 different settings for you to fire the different water streams.
Right, it had the changeable head part.
And you pulled it back, and it was like this powerful stream, this sprays, like this mist. It had different ones. It was cool. It was really cool. It's different from like any other super soaker that I had seen.
Yeah,
There's a more
but like,
advanced one.
yeah, no, but like definitely, I remember playing with those. Those are the best things to play with in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those were so just in that El Paso heat. That was a great thing to have.
Yeah, no, super soakers were definitely.
And actually, I remember having a couple of them. I had like the regular one when it first came out.
Mm-hmm. I had that. That's what I had. Yeah.
And then they had one that had it had like 3 little bubbles on it, or 2 little bubbles on it, and then it had the tank in the back, and it would pressurize. Each time you pumped it, it would pressurize the water into the bubbles, and then you would see the bubbles drop as you shot it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I remember having those. But yeah, like I think some of the ones that they had as I got older were like so cool that would have been so cool to get, and just never was able to. And they were expensive. Those were like $70, $80, $100 for those bigger ones.
Yeah, I remember that one too. Yeah. I remember this. Just be way expensive.
But now, let's take a minute there and think about that. Something you mentioned there is like toys that you played with or that you had that you may have kept secret from everybody because you maybe felt self-conscious about it. Going to that one,
Yep.
there really wasn't a whole lot of toys like that. I mean, the only one I can really think of, and there was maybe 2 or 3, and was the talking Mickey Mouse that I had.
Okay.
And it was the Storytime Mickey Mouse, and it was really cool. I mean, back then I loved it.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Teddy Ruxpin where the eyes would blink. I remember the eyes would blink and the mouth would move. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was an awesome toy. But as I got older, you know what? It's funny. I still played with it as I got older, just because I'd put the stories in just to listen to the stories, and I wasn't so much paying attention to watching it talk, but I could listen to the stories as I was doing something.
Okay.
So, but that was one of those, I think, that I was sort of like, I don't want people to know I still have this. Now, my other one was, and I'd had that, I think I still actually have it, was my original Pound Puppy.
I remember that Pound Puppy. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
and like you guys, like my main friends, I didn't have a problem with, but other people, I never mentioned stuff like that. And then, do you remember the Wrinkles dog?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, would you believe it that like most of those, like those two main stuffed animals, I think they're still around and they're in Michaela's box.
Wow. You just held on to it.
Yeah, I've
Wow.
always held on to them.
Wow. Wow.
I don't sleep with them anymore. I mean, I think I stopped that at about 19.
Man. Wow. Well, so the one that I remember having, that I was like, I hid away was a glower. I had a glower. I remember that.
I think I remember you having that. It was like a yellow one, wasn't it? You had a
It was green.
okay.
It was
Who is
green,
it?
and
Maybe
it had a very sleepy look to him. He was always like he looked like he was high though. That's the best way I can describe it. He was like
there was
this.
a high glowworm.
Yeah, and he just like he was like just very yeah. He had the sleepy eyed look, so it's like he looked high. But so yeah, I remember sleeping with it a couple times because I don't know. There was a period where I just couldn't fall asleep with like in the dark. It wasn't necessarily afraid of it. I just couldn't sleep. I just had to have some sort of light, some sort of ambient light, something like that. And yeah, so I would just grab a glowworm, turn it on, and I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. And I just have it there, you know. It was like a nightlight for me.
Right. No, you know what? I think I remember my little sister having one of those too
Yo, yeah.
when she was younger. Yeah, I mean it was a like third generation by that time.
Mm,
But wow, glowworm.
yeah, glowworm. So then I know you had all these toys, but like, what was like the big one that you had? Like, what was the one that you had? Like menagerie.
You know what? Really, I would have to say my menagerie, like that really cool one that I mean it was my menagerie, like I loved it because we did so much with it, was my creepy crawler oven.
Crap, that takes you back.
Yeah.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, it's funny to think about what a simple light bulb could do.
Right? What one little
One little, I think it was like a 40-watt light bulb. But yeah, I think that would definitely be my, because that main device, and then of course you had to buy the kits. So like the kits were like $20 a piece. So I got maybe a kit.
So remind people, what are creepy crawlers?
So creepy crawlers was a oven. If you think of easy bake oven, but for boys, you injected this plastic rubber stuff into a metal mold, and it had different, you would make worms or spiders or body parts, and then you would put it in the oven. It would sit in the oven for like 5-10 minutes, and that rubber stuff would solidify, and then you would turn the oven off, or it would turn off by itself. I think it had a setting where it turned off by itself after the time.
And it wasn't called an oven. It was a creature creator.
That's right. It was the creature creator, and then you would push it through to the other side, and when you took it out and dumped it out, it was a little rubber figure.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really cool toy that I just did so much with. And like I said, I remember building those things with you, and I think we went through like tubes of that stuff in a day, like just creating all that. I think we burned out the light bulb in like a matter of like 2 or 3 days.
Eventually, yeah.
But I remember taking that to like 7th grade to talk about it as a like, hey, like this is what it does. This is and I mean it was cool for me. Like I said, that was definitely my one major toy.
Nice.
So what about you? What's yours?
So let's take it. I have to paint a picture. Let's paint this picture. So it's 1988, and I get up early on a Saturday morning, and all of a sudden, all you hear is this song, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant. So I got hooked on Teenage Mutant Ninja. That was my show when I was 7 or 8 years old. Like I would tune in to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles every morning, because I love the show. So then as the years went by, I had like that was the biggest toy line that I had. Like as far as like any other ones that I ever collected, it was I had an original Raphael, I had an original Bebop, Rocksteady, General Trag was one of them, Genghis Frog, Krang, and the Android body. I had the Android body, which is like about
I remember that.
it was like about a foot big.
Yeah,
And
it was like 15 inches, right? It was like
yeah, it was like 50,
it was
it was big. It was big, but like it was the actual body that the Android body that Krang, and you could put Krang in the belly, and he would fit in there perfectly, and you could just move him around. And
nice.
I remember some of the side characters I had too. I had Mutagen Man, I had Wingnut with this little guy Screw Loose. I had
Wow.
and then they had like these different iterations of the Ninja Turtles. So like they would have like Surfer, whatever, or they have Dentist, and like they have this weird different main character designs. And one of them was a Sword Samurai Leo, where he was in samurai gear.
Right. It was like from Turtles 3, wasn't it? The Trapped
No,
in
it wasn't
Time?
from the movie. It wasn't from the movie. It was
No, but it was from the show. Like it was like one of the seasons where they were.
yeah. And I had the other side characters, like they had some dude named Dirtbag, Dude, and then the crowning achievement of this whole collection, the Technodrome. I had a full-size Technodrome
Nice.
where you could fold in and out again. Like it was like this part you could fold in and out. You could move it. It had the wheels, and I remember you could drop the eyeball as an attack. It was
Very
it
cool.
It would slide off, and
So it like roll off?
yeah, it would roll off, and you could use it as an attack. And I remember that vividly because it was so big. It was, I think, as big as my Castle Grayskull.
Wow.
It was big. It was, and I was I'm so happy right now. I loved that Technodrome. It was the best.
So what would be that one toy that you never got that, I mean, besides the Voltron one, we've talked about that one, that if you could buy right now, you would get?
So from the Ninja Turtles line, there was two, and it was definitely the pizza shooter. I wanted the pizza shooter so bad, and I forgot who had the pizza shooter. And I was like, if I had an opportunity to steal this fucker away, I absolutely would. But no, it never came down to that. Though. I think I had another friend that may have had the pizza shooter.
Nice.
I remember it being loud too. Like you turn it on with the batteries, and it's like, you could hear the motor inside, and it would shoot. And it would shoot a good distance too. It would shoot a good distance.
It's sort of like some of the Nerf guns nowadays.
Nerf, that's another one. Nerf
Guns, those are cool.
And the second one I always wanted was the turtle blimp. The blimp. Always wanted the turtle blimp. I never got it. Or even sorry, there's three things I always wanted. Okay, so it was the blimp, which was like it was a good size too. It was probably, if I could compare it with size, like the blimp itself was probably the size of, think of like an oblong basketball, like a big football.
Okay.
That's how it was. It was
like if you were to take a football and expand it out a little bit more.
like, you know what? The size of a rugby football. That's the
There we
size.
go. Okay.
It was the size of a rugby. It was a pretty good size one too, I remember.
Nice.
So yeah, I remember a friend of mine had it too, and I was so jealous. I was like, that son of a bitch. It was like, how dare he have the turtle blimp? And so it was the pizza shooter, the blimp, and the turtle van.
Nice.
Always wanted the turtle van. Always wanted it. Just never got it. But I mean, I had so many damn turtles in the first place anyway.
Well, would you have had enough room for them if you had them?
Care? Yeah.
I'll get rid of this to put this in there.
No. There's no getting rid. No. It was just an add-on. I'm like, I don't care where I put it. It's added on. I don't care.
It's going somewhere.
It's going somewhere. Absolutely. Yeah, that was the big one. It was huge. I remember turtles being gigantic, and I would bring my Ninja Turtles to school, and I had one of those other friends who also had Ninja Turtles, and we would play just like together with the Ninja Turtles, just on the playground with our Ninja Turtles. Yeah, but I remember just being huge into Ninja Turtles.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember you as a kid you know, that was like your main game there. That was
For one Halloween, I was Raphael. I had a turtle shell that my mom made. That was pretty awesome.
very cool.
And yeah, dang. Then there was I had a bunch of friends that had a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff. I remember one friend had a big, like those 2-foot sized Ninja Turtle ones. Those big.
Mhm.
It was a I think a Michelangelo, and it was big. It was like those big ones. I was like, damn. I was like, I want that. I want it now. Just wanting that one, just to have it, you know. So
Yeah.
like
So
those
I think
once. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking, thinking like stuff like that. I'm thinking one of the ones that I definitely remember like always wanting was the Ghostbusters backpack. That
My God, yes.
like that was, and it had like the trap here in the back, and you could pull it out, and it was like it looked like the little wire thing, and it made the noise and stuff. Now I remember getting one as a kid when I was younger. That was like a flashlight one, but it wasn't the backpack. It was just the handheld like little flashlight thing that looked like the gun.
Yeah. Oh man, dang. I remember always wanting those Ghostbuster figures. I always wanted the Ghostbuster ones.
Because those are some pretty cool ones, and it was off of the movies that we remember, which I mean only shows how our brains put that stuff together.
Yeah, no, like I remember when the cartoon came out and how cool the cartoon was, and I always wanted always wanted a backpack. Always wanted a damn Ghostbusters ghost busting backpack. Always wanted one.
But yeah, that would definitely be the one thing or the one toy that I would remember of always wanting.
Yeah, because I mean, who doesn't want to be a Ghostbuster? Come on, who doesn't want to?
Yeah,
Was it a nuclear
reactor.
a nuclear reactor on the back? Why not? That's cool, man. Oh, wow, that's something other one. Yeah.
But let's go into the sense of maybe some obscure toys that I might have had that I can remember. Do you remember the Keyforce toys?
Keyforce?
Mm-hmm.
No clue.
Okay, so it was a car or a different vehicle, and then you would put this little key in the back of it, and then turn the key, and then it would open up like weapon panels, or the piece would on the top of the car would flip over, and you had like a gun thing there. They were really cool. They were basically transforming vehicles. But those were some really cool, like obscure little toys that I mean I don't think there was a whole lot of them. I think maybe there was like in total maybe like 10 of them, and they were out for maybe like two seasons of Christmas that I remember, and then they took them off the shelves. But yeah, that would be one of those really obscure off the wall toys that I was like, hey, that's really cool. And like it had like a motorcycle, and like I said, it had just like a little key thing, and you'd put the key in, you turn the key, and it would like drop these, drop the side panels, and they'd be like little machine guns. Or it would slide the piece forward, and a little like gun would pop out of where the seat was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a couple of those and that I got as gifts and stuff that were really cool.
So now that you were mentioning it, I did remember one that I did have, and it wasn't, and there was a reason why they took this line off. But I remember having a squirt gun, but it was hyper realistic looking weapon.
Like, yes, I know exactly which ones you're talking about.
I forgot which line I forgot what they are, but it was. I had an Uzi. It was this black Uzi. And
Realtek.
Was it called Realtek?
I believe it was Realtek. I know exactly which line you're talking about.
But it was hyper realistic. I mean,
yes,
you had to press a button, like, because it was an Uzi. You would press a button, it would unload the cartridge, you would load the water in, click it back in, and then push that button again so it could lock in. And you would hold that button, and it would just, like, the water would come out. Just
yeah.
fast.
So okay. Do you know that that's one of the reasons why they passed the law that guns like that looked real like that have to have the orange tip on them?
I would imagine.
That's what started it, was because of that. So when they came out with airsoft guns, they started releasing airsoft guns the same way. But then a kid got shot by a police officer
Because
because
he
he
had the
thought,
real tech. Because he had the
yeah,
real tech.
it wasn't a real tech, but yeah, it was. There was a definitely there was a few things that happened back then when those guns were around.
Yeah, because I remember going to Kmart
Uh-huh.
when I was oh my god, I think it was when I was still living in Arizona. I was very little, and this is like a very small memory, but I remember it because I remember seeing the Uzi, and I remember seeing a full sized at that time. I didn't know what type of gun it was. It was like an M4 assault rifle.
Yeah,
That was a
it'd be
squirt
like,
gun.
yeah, it was like that. I think that they had like they had the Uzi, they had like a 9mm. They had I believe it was a M16.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be the one that you saw. That would have been like
It was
the
probably an
assault rifle.
M16. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but it was big. It was like I think life sized, and it looked like a real gun. I remember looking at it, and I remember getting the Uzi, and I remember it was being super realistic. It was crazy how realistic that thing was.
No, those were awesome toys, but I mean, if you think about it, just the safety of them because of the fact that they look so real, I can definitely see where things happened because of that, and changes were made.
Yeah, I mean they had to because it was just like because it was super. When I say realistic, I mean super realistic. It had the shine. It was crazy how realistic these were. It was
Right,
nuts.
and I think that's why for a while, even after those happened, when they took those off the shelves, that's why a lot of companies sort of steered away from guns looking realistic like that, and they did them more towards like the fantasy type stuff.
Well, I mean, look at the Super Soaker, for example. The Super
Yeah.
Soaker. I mean, you look at the design, and you know it's a toy. I mean, you know off the bat it's a toy. When you look at this, well, I guess the real tech, I guess it's called.
You didn't know.
You didn't
Well,
know. You just
Okay,
said,
so do you remember the movie? Was it Airheads?
yes.
That's what they used to break into the studio.
Yeah, how they painted it. They painted some of them yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Well, yeah, but
when
that's what I'm
they-
talking about. How realistic they look.
those
Yeah, 'cause
they
those
were,
guns-
and
yeah.
so, but most definitely, there were some really cool squirt guns. They had that automatic fire, and I think the M16 had like a selector switch, so you could do it like full auto or single shot. So, and it was just one of those really cool designs. Just bad design in the process of not making it so that police officers and people knew it wasn't a real gun.
Right.
Which I'm glad they made changes with that now, because with the stuff like airsoft nowadays, I mean, airsoft are giant toys if you think about it, but they look ultra realistic, and that's why I preferred paintball, because the guns didn't look real. They looked like a toy, they look like a marker, and that's why most players in the paintball stuff don't refer to them as paintball guns. They refer to paintball markers, because it helps, because then the police don't have to sit there and be like, oh, you were carrying a gun. Well, no, sir, I'm carrying a big old air tank and a marker.
Yeah. Jeez.
But thinking about all those toys and stuff, think about how they were presented to us. I mean, if you think about the commercials and the way they were, I guess, shown, it was a pretty, what's the word?
Loose?
Not it. I'm sorry?
Loose?
No, it was a very competitive market. But so with that though, it was a lot of it, we saw them all the time. If you think about it, during the cartoon shows and stuff like that we were watching as kids, they're pushing that. So what does the media, or what does the commercial companies do? Oh, well, we're gonna, Mattel is gonna make a commercial about Ninja Turtles. Or who made the Ninja Turtles? Was Mattel? or
That's a good
Kenner?
question. Ninja Turtles, I think, was Play something.
Playtech?
No, not Play Tech. Play Buds. Play something.
Okay. So, but they push it. Hey, you know what? Kids are really into this, so we're gonna, put out this type of commercial, and they would show, the figures moving by themselves, and of course you see the kids in the background. As the idea is them holding it and doing it. But it was very. Well, I can't think of the word. False advertising. It was false advertisement because of the toys didn't do exactly what it was showing on these commercials. And they lied to us, those commercials lied to us, but they sold it so well.
Right? Oh, they were called Playmates toys.
Playmates, okay.
Yeah. Those are the ones that made the Ninja Turtles ones, yeah.
I remember seeing the commercials of like the race cars, and you'd see them go like up the wall and then down and around, and then you'd get it and you'd buy this race car set and you'd set it up on the wall. But what they didn't explain to you is that you have to control those cars really well, and when it goes up and around that wall, they don't tend to stay on the track.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think it took a lot of the fun out of it, really. I mean, race car tracks were great. Those are some awesome toys.
Right. No, so no. I mean, some of them were. I mean, one that I can remember also like having a lot of trouble with were some of the sets that we had for Hot Wheels.
Yes.
I remember some of the Hot Wheels not working as well too. Like some of the, I think they had one where it's like if I remember correctly, it was like a viper's head. It was like a snake's head.
Okay.
Snake's head mountain, I think was the name of it. And all it would do was just move, and that's it. It's like nothing would come out of it. It was just this thing. It was just like move here. Oh look, I'm moving. Look how cool this is. I'm moving.
But it wouldn't like drop down and grab the car or anything, right?
Yeah, no, or nothing. Like I thought, like something it would like maybe fly out of the like with the little, what was it the spinner, that thing that they had, like you would just
the little jet thing.
Yeah.
Propulsion, the propulsion mechanism.
Yeah, all it was just like move the head moving. Like that's dumb. That's dumb. They also had one with the spider. They also had a spider one, and it was the same thing. The spider would just move and wouldn't do anything. It would just move.
But did you own any of those?
No, I was actually one of my mom's friends who they had those toys. They had those Hot Wheels toys, but they had those. I'm just like, it's just moving. Ooh. I'm just like,
but do you remember? Now here, let me ask you: do you remember the commercials from those toys?
Yeah.
And it made it look like it was so cool on the racetrack and stuff as they're racing these cars and stuff. That's one of the biggest ones. Domino Rally. Do you remember those toys?
I remember Domino Rally.
Do you remember what a pain in the butt it was to set those up the first time we set that track up?
And it pushes. It's like, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah, exactly. You do it one time, and you never want to do it again.
It was just too much of a pain in the ass. You're sitting there for hours, literally hours, putting these stupid things up, and you're just trying to make sure this one didn't fall and mess the rest of them up.
Yeah. But the commercials were amazing, and they sold it to us because we were like, oh, that looks so cool, I want to get one and try it. And then you play with it one time and you're like, fuck this shit, throw it in your drawer, put it away, never again will I play with that.
Never touch it again. Never touch it again because it was so disappointing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
No rally.
But so I have one final question on tonight. You have any amount of money you need for it. You can buy whatever you want. You only get one toy, and it can't be anything that you've mentioned already.
Okay.
From the 80s, 90s, early, up to 2000, because that's when we graduated, so we didn't play with toys then, and we can't use. What would be that one toy that you would buy if you had the chance right now? If you were to find it on eBay and you're like, oh, boom.
Easy. the 1990s Playbiz X-Men toy line.
Okay. Now, would you buy them for collection purposes? Just because
Yeah.
that was, yeah.
Yeah, I should say that.
So
No,
you would
but
open them up and play with them, wouldn't you?
No, I would keep them in a box, but I had a couple. I had Weapon X Wolverine. I had Omega Red. I had, what else do I have?
Describe those for me, because I think I know. I think I'm remembering the ones you're talking about, but describe what it was, like the figure and stuff.
Okay, so then if you've ever seen the X-Men 1990s cartoon, that's it. It was from the cartoon. So when that legendary 90s X-Men cartoon came out, they were releasing the X-Men 90s toys, because what happened was that Jim Lee, he ended up taking over the X-Men after Chris Claremont.
Okay.
I'm talking about Marvel Comics. So when they were running the Marvel Comics, the big issue that came out, that X-Men #1 from that 1990-91, where they have the different outfits, they have the different gear and everything.
Right.
Like you see in the cartoons. When that blew up, that comic blew up. And so they're like, okay, we got to capitalize on this. So we got to make this new X-Men toy line. And that's exactly what they did. So how they're dressed in the 90s, that's the toy line.
Very cool. Okay.
So yeah, I had those. So those I remember vividly is Omega Red and Weapon X Wolverine.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted every single one of them because they were so there was a detail. The detail, and back in the 90s, X-Men was the thing. Like
nice.
Like for me, it was like I'm sorry, Turtles, the X-Men are in.
Very cool.
So yeah, I always wanted all those X-Men figures, and I also had a Cable. That's right, I had a Cable. That's right.
I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
So it was a Cable, Weapon X, Wolverine, and Omega Red.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So,
and same question to you, homie. What would you do? What would be yours?
I think like my favorite, and I've always been one of those I sort of like the obscure toy stuff, the obscure toy line type stuff, would be the Mech Warrior series line.
Ooh, Mech Warrior. Good choice.
Because those toys were amazing. I mean, they weren't transforming robots. They were actual, buildable mechs that you could build. And so it had the walking arms that were guns. And the cool thing about it was you had to take the time to paint it. So it was very, it's a very immersive toy. But I think that would be just the coolest thing. And I would probably, there was the Iron Wolf, I believe, was one of and there's different clans. So you can paint them different ways. But the ship designs were crazy too. So that would definitely be my number one choice toy.
You know, there are a couple ones that I remember that you had that we played with too. Like I remember Visionaries. Remember Visionaries?
I remember I had a couple of those. Yeah, I had a couple of those figures. I remember the Exo Squad. I think I had one or two of those.
Yep, I remember Exo Squad too. And then you had, I forgot what they're called, but there are these small animal-like figures.
Yes. You know what? I saw a YouTube video. I believe the caster's name is, or the podcast that he does is Secret Galaxy. He did a YouTube video on that not the other day. It was an old one, but I happened to come up with my For You. Those are the ones, they were like I'm going to have to look that up and maybe throw it up on the YouTube channel, because I remember the ones you're talking about. Yeah, we used to go out to the desert and play with those.
Exactly.
And we built the fortress with the bricks and stuff.
Exactly.
And we had the cinder blocks would be like jail cells, or would be, yes, I do remember the ones you're talking about. In fact, I remember actually a 3 or 4, probably a few more, were some friend of mine at that age range who her brother had them, and I ended up pocketing a couple and bringing home with me because I was like, oh, that's really cool. And he had a bunch of he had a tub full of them.
Wow.
And so I ended up snagging a couple just because oh man, yeah. So I'm sorry to whoever that was. I apologize,
Yeah,
but I do remember those.
that's wild. Wow, Matt. Wow. But I remember those small ones too. I remember that eagle one. I think we had an eagle one. Forgot which one it
Hmm.
was. Yeah, but I remember those too. I remember those. Those were.
And they had the little square in the center that you would put your hand over and it would change to like a flame or a leaf or a
Mhm.
rock. Yes, I know exactly which ones you are talking about. Maybe I'll be able to post it on YouTube as far as the video. I'll throw a like out there to that video so that way it'll come up if I can do that.
Nice.
But
Nice.
speaking of the social media, Fernie, let people know where they can find us.
Well, apparently you can find us on everything. Like you mentioned a couple times already. We're on the YouTube at Cutscenes and Clotheslines. We're also on the Facebook. We're also on the dang, what else are we on? Mike, we're on the
How about TikTok? Where can they find us on TikTok?
TikTok. That's cutscenes.clothesline. It's cutscenes.clotheslines, right?
Yes, at
Okay, good to get that.
cutscenes.clotheslines.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, is it and or is it just a dot? I forget. No, it's my age
Yeah,
already.
sorry, I had to change it couple times, especially like with Instagram, because it didn't let me do that because someone already had that. So like Instagram, they can find us also at cutscenes and clotheslines.
And then you can also go to our personal pages on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find Mike there. You can find myself there too as well. Just drop us a line, drop us a question, whatever things you got. Just let us know.
Right, and then you can also now find us on Spotify. You can find us on
We're on
Apple.
Spotify. That's right, Spotify and Apple. That's right. On same thing, cutscenes and clotheslines.
Yep, just search cutscenes and clotheslines, and you should be able to find our podcast. And if you want to go ahead and send us any information, maybe let us know about a toy you remember, or maybe you want to give us some feedback or let us know about something maybe that interested you that you'd like to hear us talk about. You can also get to us at cutscenes and clotheslines at gmail.com. All right. Well, Fernie, it has been a wonderful, memory episode. I definitely love, remembering those, stuff, those toys, those, even some of those good memories. It really did bring up some good memories tonight.
Right.
But
So then to close,
all right,
what's your Mount Rushmore of toys?
my Mount Rushmore of toys. Ooh, Star Wars action fleet. That would be Galoob Star Wars action fleets. Mask, the creepy crawler creature creator, and my last one would probably be Dino Riders.
Dino Riders.
Yeah,
Surprised. I thought you put Legos on there, but
you know what? I do love Legos. Don't get me wrong, but of actual toys that I could play with and engage with, like in that way, sense, I sort of the Dino Riders toys would definitely be the ones I would. So, what about you, sir? What is your
so definitely Ninja Turtles,
okay?
definitely Masters of the Universe, definitely the X-Men. Even though I had a few of them, I still love that line. I still love that X-Men line. And the fourth one, oh man, yeah, definitely Star Wars.
The Star Wars? Yeah.
The Star Wars, absolutely.
You know what? I support that Mount Rushmore completely, sir.
Yeah.
That is an amazing Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
Well, folks, I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Just remember, we're cutscenes and clotheslines, and you can catch us anytime. Catch us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And you know what? This is a place where you want to come to because we're the place where nostalgia hits harder than a chair shot to the head. Have a good night,
Those explains a
everybody.
lot. Those explains a lot.